This is the Real Demers, where we seek redemption by championing the B-sides, the offbeat, and overlooked. Greg and I have worked in and around Hollywood, so we know just how hard it is to get a movie made. This is our space to celebrate cinematic misfits we hope you'll enjoy as much as us. It's 2025. What better way to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Jaws than by watching a movie about a vengeful killer whale? It's time for Orca. I'm one of your hosts, Andres Anglade, and with me is...
Hi, I'm Greg Bellavia.
And today we're discussing Orca to celebrate Jaws' 50th anniversary. Please note we will be spoiling the movie. There's a lot to talk about. It's summer 1975. Jaws opens and is a massive hit for Universal Pictures. Over at Paramount, producer Dino De Laurentiis is probably like, so the shark movie is a hit. You know what hunts and kills sharks? Killer whales. So he buys the book rights to Orca, written by Arthur Herzog. Dino gets Michael Anderson to direct, who was coming off of directing Logan's Run. Richard Harris and Charlotte Rampling star, and we're also introduced to Bo Derek in her theatrical screen debut. The film comes out in 1977 and is not even close to a hit at the box office. But that doesn't mean it's not a fun watch. The plot description from IMDb is, a fisherman and his crew are targeted by a killer whale seeking vengeance for the death of its mate. Now, Greg, based off of that description, I was expecting John Wick from the dog's perspective, right? like if John was if John was killed and the puppy beagle decided to take revenge.
We might need to talk about this off mic. I think you just made that's a big budget.
We're gonna write that
hit,
script. Yeah, we'll go write that script. But with that expectation, I could say I was not disappointed.
No, sir.
But I do have to say, if they were looking to emulate Jaws, this plot is definitely far from that. Don't get me wrong, Jaws is one of the best films ever made.
Oh.
But
Sure.
Other than dealing with two creatures in the ocean, this is a completely different movie. What are your thoughts?
For those of you listening, 50th anniversary of Jaws, we wanted to dive in with, we love copycats, imitators, ripoffs, whatever you call it. There's a lot of creativity there, and we feel like those types of movies can be overlooked. And diving in, Jaws certainly had a whole bunch of films following in its wake. Piranha, Alligator, Grizzly, some of them not so good. So Orca was kind of on there. I had seen pieces of this before. We'll get into that in a little bit, but this was kind of on our short list of let's check it out. Man, am I happy we're talking about this today.
Oh, yeah. I had never seen it before. And I remember us discussing, hey, what should we watch? Oh, it's the Jaws 50th. Let's go through a list. We've also heard that it's pretty good for any imitators that came after Jaws. And I'm so excited to talk about this film. I had so much fun with it.
It's a whale seeking vengeance. If you just want to set the stage, it's Richard Harris is a sea captain. They normally capture sharks for aquariums. They learn that there's some whales in the area. Great, I'll capture that, make more money. They're even bigger. Charlotte Rampling studies whales. She's trying to warn him. They're friends, but he doesn't really care necessarily about the sea life. She's just there to get paid. Knowing about orcas, how intelligent they are, how caring they are for one another, is trying to warn him off him. And in attempting to capture one, there's a complete disaster where he kills a whale and her calf. And now it's the mate seeking vengeance. And that's kind of the launch pad for that. If you hear that as a log line, to your point, it's an inverted Jaws. Instead of man hunting beast, it's beast hunting man, like justifiably. Yeah. Where they take that is maybe not what you would expect from a film called Orca coming out after Jaws.
So many things happen in this film that I just was not expecting, and I was just giddy watching. The opening of the film is actually really, really great, but I think we'll get more into it as we get into the categories.
Our categories are just a part where we can highlight some of our favorite moments and performances from the film.
So let's start with our first category, the heart of the film. What do you take as the overall theme or heart of the film?
I think there's a love of nature and a kindness of nature, just trying to find a balance between them. I think that's part of it, because it's like, I think you walk out of this with sympathy for all the characters and the animals. I think it's forgiveness, and does nature forgive? And that's a question that the movie kind of addresses. And that's not necessarily something like, if you gave me that pitch, I don't think we'd be talking about existential themes, but yet here we are. I think that's where What about you? What do you feel at the heart of the film?
No, I think jumping off of that existential theme, for me, it's the story of grief and revenge. What's crazy to me, and something I was not expecting, again, I didn't watch the trailer. I just heard about Orca. I didn't honestly know what it was about, except for reading that log line. So what was surprising to me is how this film wants you to sympathize with the whale. There's no doubt about it. The very first scene of the film is basically a love story montage between two killer whales. The very first shot is this beautiful sunset shot and two killer whales jumping, doing a flip in the air and falling back into the water. And then from that, we get a montage of just these two beautiful creatures under the water swimming around with an amazing Ennio Morricone score, which we didn't mention. Ennio Morricone does the score for this film. You're already enchanted by the whales. And then when one of the whales is killed, it's a tragic moment. How the mate dies is brutal, and we can get into that in a little bit, but it was not an easy scene for me to watch. So Captain Nolan ends up killing the female mate of our main... inadvertently ends up killing the whale. And then we learn halfway through the film that the captain has his own backstory dealing with grief and guilt. And he ends up comparing himself to the whale, knowing exactly what the whale's going through, because years ago, a drunk driver inadvertently killed his wife and child. And I love the moment where Nolan has hope that he can communicate with the whale. He wants to say, I didn't mean it. And it's in that moment where he realizes he doesn't want to kill the whale at all. He just wants to let him know. He can empathize and wants to show how grief can exist without revenge. And honestly, that was a turning point for me in the film, because up until then, I was like, I'm not sympathizing with the captain at all. I don't buy any of this in terms of the film trying to tell me, oh, I should be on the captain's side at all. But once that backstory was revealed, and obviously a fantastic Richard Harris performance sells it, he wants to show how grief can exist without revenge. But Orca's not having it, my friend.
No. Well, that's where I come in. There's an easy path with, we've seen a movie where monster wrongs person tries to get back at monster. And I think it's easy to flip it into adorable animal is wronged. They're going to get back at people. Look, people suck. People are horrible. They do a whole bunch of horrible things. That's not a news flash here on this podcast. We know that. So it's like easy to tell a horror movie from the perspective of a dog or a cat or a whale. Like, you'd have instant sympathy. So I think if I pitch that to you, you're like, oh, okay, I can understand where you're coming from. This is an interesting third category where the animal absolutely has every right to be upset. You understand the revenge, but the captain is instantaneously remorseful. You could have done a version where everybody on that boat's a jerk and you're hunting them down like, any other revenge movie you've seen, like a Cannon film. Everybody's got like a weird little thing about it. And that would have been a fine, schlocky, fun, great. That would have been fun. He did not mean to kill them. Whether or not he should be catching whales or not, of course he shouldn't be doing it, but there was no malicious intent. That doesn't condone the action, but that's different than somebody that's like doing, like, I'm going to do evil for evil's sake. He was doing it for a job. He needed the money. Again, not defending it, but like he has his own reasons. And the instant it goes south, he is horrified. You can see he's horrified. And you have a character reckoning with that for the rest of the film. And as you just touched on, he doesn't want to fight. You've got the monster is trying to goad them into a come out and play. And we'll get into what form that takes. And for most of the film, he does not want to engage because he feels, and I find that fascinating.
Oh, it's incredible. And it's something, like you said, you don't see in movies like this. It's man versus beast, man versus creature, man versus monster, man is monster, and that's it. Here, there's even other elements that are introduced that we can get into later, or you know what, we'll just talk about it now, like the superstitious aspect of things going wrong in the harbor because he ended up killing this whale, and this other whale wants revenge. So all the fishermen and the townspeople are now against the captain, who does not want to fight. He wants to stay out of it, but he's getting pressured from the fishermen's union, other fishermen, even townspeople are sort of threatening and blackmailing him, they're blackballing him and his crew, basically goading him to go fight and hunt down the whale. I love that. It's little elements I was not expecting from this film.
I think you hear the premise and maybe you see a scene or two and you're just like, okay, and you go in with a certain expectation level, and this takes it like 1,000 times more seriously. I always appreciate that in any filmmaking, especially genre filmmaking. If you take the premise seriously, then I will take this premise seriously. And there's a certain level of schlock that gets out where it's like, okay, well, if you approach it goofy, I'm never going to get that emotionally invested with your characters. you side with the whale, and to your point, the movie sets the stage very well. You don't come in on the humans, you come in on the whales, and the death, it's gut wrenching, it's horrible.
It's brutal. It's brutal.
But I think it's then Harris's job to get you onto his side as well. And that's the thing. I'm not rooting for anyone to die by the end.
Right.
I would love peace, but that's not the, like, that's not a genre movie. They're not just going to sit down and be like, oh, okay, we figured this out. And that's why the grappling with forgiveness, he wants forgiveness the moment that happened, and it's never going to be granted to him. First, he tries to avoid it, and then that doesn't happen. And then there's a level of, well, fine, if I guess I'll go fight it, but his heart's never in it the 100% of the time, because he knows in his bones that he's wrong.
He just doesn't want to go hunt it. But everything in the world is telling him he has to, including the whale.
There's a level of silliness, and maybe that's why people, like, if you tell people, oh, hey, go watch Orca, I bet people are going to roll their eyes, like, oh, killer whale, whatever. One, I mean, they sell it, and I think that's why it works, and that's why we're so excited to talk about it today with all of you. I like how the movie handles it, because with Rampling studying whale, she lays out, these are very intelligent creatures. So you're like, okay. There's also a character played by Will Sampson, who's of Native American descent, and he introduces a mystical element. And that can come off as cheesy. Will Sampson's a great actor. They were in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, very affecting. I think they're used well here. Just introduce the mystic element. The point is, it doesn't matter if they're scientifically very smart. It doesn't matter if there's some level of mysticism and there's a vengeance thing here. The most important thing is it's happening. This captain is stuck with this situation. So the movie is introducing, like, look, we're not going to tell you exactly what's happening. Just now he has to deal with this whale. What's he going to do? It's that existential horror. That's most of the horror of the movie. And in a creature feature, that's pretty cool.
And I love the Will Sampson character, Umalak, I think.
Yeah.
Umalak. His character, like you said, it so easily could have been super cheesy, and it wasn't. He plays it in a more realistic way where he leans into the superstition, and it's not just his ancestral superstition. It's also what is going on around the town with the other fishermen and the townspeople. I don't want to harp too much on the fishermen and townspeople because they play a part of the film, but they're not a massive focus.
I think that's important. It's that Harris's Captain Nolan is a part of this community.
Yeah.
And after the disaster with the whale and the calf, and now the Orca swimming revenge, the Orca starts hammering boats. They cause an explosion. Like they're harassing the town. And that could flirt with, again, being cheesy or whatever, but they keep it just enough below the line where you're into it. And that's where the townspeople are like, you got to fix this. And I think that's different than Jaws kind of putting onto the sheriff. There was a level of disbelief at first. Here, people are pretty quick on board. Like, it's pretty tangible. Yeah,
agreed.
That Orca's messing some stuff up. In both stories, you have main character versus townspeople, but the setup couldn't be more different. Like, they're pushing him. You got to go fight that thing, like, immediately.
The comparisons to Jaws, I would never say they're the same film. Like, they're completely different. To your point of how it's explored between the townspeople, I love that everyone believes them and they're like, you need to go hunt the whale and take care of this. And I do think the scene with Charlotte Rampling, who plays Dr. I think Rachel Bedford, her scene is necessary because we have to be convinced at how smart the whale is as well. I definitely appreciated that.
Look, I am a huge fan of this film. I mean, if you take anything away from today's episode, go watch Orca. We are converted Orca heads. She has 2 bits of VO. So it's kind of like, look, we got to put some VO here. One of them, not necessary. The other one where she admits she's attracted to the captain.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm
actually kind of glad that's there because it sort of spells out the relationship a little bit. Because in other words, you just have you have a salty sea captain and you have like this whale researcher. Why are they hanging out exactly? And in the VO, she's like, I'm going to massacre like how they say it, but just like, she's like, well, I was kind of attracted to it. And it's like, all right, you're here in Newfoundland. Maybe you don't see a lot of guys. I like their relationship. In this movie, Harris is the star. He has the heavy lifting to do. Everyone else is good. I mean, Sampson's great, Rampling's great, Boderek's great. Everyone's doing what they have to do. His character's the meat of the story. So her role is a little thankless, but she does it well. And it's just funny. There's these 2 little bits of VO, and I think it does it. They put it in because it's like, well, now we have to explain why are they even hanging out at this point? And that does it. They do it. So
I'm so glad you brought that up, Greg. Honestly, I'm looking at my notes that I took while watching this, and I literally wrote down surprise VO exclamation point. because it comes super far into the film. It's not like it's the second scene or third scene. It's like, I didn't write down how far into the film, but it was surprised. It's just like, oh, I guess there's VO here. And then right next to that, I wrote in quotes, ... find him attractive. Working a post, I get it. There's certain ADR you just have to write to deal with anything that's cut out, or if there's an element that's not working. And I'm pretty sure that VO was added in to, like you said, explain the relationship. Because if I can critique one thing, I agree with you. I think the one character I am a little confused by is Dr. Rachel Bedford. Her loyalties to me needed to be clarified a bit more. And that's not taking anything from Charlotte Rampling. Her performance is great. She's amazing in it. But I feel like the character can come across as lacking at points because the motivations are muddled. You don't know if is she on the side of the whale? Is she on his side? She's pushing him away, but then is with him. That was kind of my one critique of the film.
I would agree. It's not quite a love interest. You can tell they're interested in each other. And again, the VO fleshes that out, just spells it out so you know it's there. Her response at one point is like, even if, I'm paraphrasing, even if the whale wants revenge and is justified in wanting revenge, why do we have to play along with it? Like, she's trying to save his life. Like, okay, even if this whale is goading you into a fight, she is contrasting the townspeople don't care about Nolan. They care about getting the town back. If he dies, great, the whale will go away. If he kills the whale, great, the whale's gone. She is invested in the captain as a person, and I like that. Nobody in this film is as well defined as Harris is, but this is a great job from Richard Harris. I mean, like,
let's get into it. Let's get into it. MVP, most valuable performance. Go ahead.
Keenan Wynn is Novak. No. I'm sorry. It's Richard Harris.
It's Richard Harris, of course. Yeah. Please go ahead.
This is not just a good performance. This is a great performance in a genre movie. I like Richard Harris. I mean, sure, I've seen him around, Major Dundee, Sam Peckinpah film. He's really good in that. Obviously the Harry Potter stuff, but pulling out a performance you would just not expect in a creature feature like this.
I had him down as well. He's pushing so many emotions in the film. From the beginning of that first scene where he's hunting the shark, which we haven't even spoken about. I think we skipped favorite scenes, but we can go back to that. And I love his descent into icy madness towards the end. It's haunting. It's awesome. I have him down as well.
He starts the film off very confident. Then you have to see him remorseful. Then you have to see him like a little incredulous, like, well, this can't be happening. But then it is happening. It's the dawning horror. And then like, I do not want to fight this thing. Like, I feel like a kinship to it that it does not feel towards me. And then finally this acceptance of, all right, you want to fight? Let's fight. That's the last part of the film, is them going out trying to hunt this whale. And so yes, there's the action beats, the horror beats that you'd expect with that, but with a captain whose heart isn't in it 100%. All right, I'll do it because I have to. You're not going to leave me with any choice, but like, there's no joy in killing this whale.
And I feel like there's not a lot of movies that explore that aspect, where in Jaws, it is a eating machine. Yeah. That is the monster. They need to kill it.
Jaws works on a variety of levels. It's also a great piece of popcorn entertainment.
Yeah.
Go see that on a Friday night. You're going to scream. You're going to laugh. You're going to have a really good time. This isn't.
No. It's a horror film. It's a horror film.
From the moment that the botched capture happens, it's just grim. And sometimes like, maybe not always in the mood for that, but like, I appreciate the tone. Like, I think it strikes the right tone. And again, I think Harris, you see him in real time processing a whole bunch of different emotions. Like, again, it brings up like a horror from his past that he has to reckon with, that he probably doesn't like even talking about like all the time. He tries to get his crew to safety, but to your point, the town won't let them leave until they kind of finish it out. I think you get this, and a whale coming after you, that's imposing. It just is. I mean, like, the idea of like this behemoth, that's a good opposition to be up against. I mean, you could just pick animals and we'd be like silly about it, but there's a difference there between like Catfish the movie or seahorses or jellyfish. There's something like, it's a super intelligent whale. I'll be like, yeah, that'd be very formidable.
And to also make sure the audience understands, it sounds ridiculous where it's like, oh, the captain can't leave the town because this whale wants to kill him. He also can't leave because the whale attacked their boat. And I love that aspect. Okay, favorite scenes.
Okay, I think the showstopper is the botched capture. And it's horrifying. It's gut-wrenching. If you're an animal lover, it really is affecting. And with 70...
I'm an animal lover. It was so fucking tough for me to watch that scene.
But with 70 special effects, it still holds up. Bruce, the shark, not showing a ton in Jaws for a reason, and it used so effectively. you get a lot of the like they used real orcas here. And I guess from what I was reading, the special effects were so effective, the animal rights groups were upset, but no whales were harmed to my knowledge in the making of this movie. So a lot of that was just the effects work. But like that sequence, it's going to make your stomach churn. And I mean, maybe that, I hate to say, I mean, like maybe that turns you off to the film, but it's how effective that is.
But that scene is what makes it a horror film.
Yes.
That scene. And there's a moment in that scene. There's two moments. I mean, my jaw was on the floor with the one moment, which I don't know if we want to describe it or not. But then there's another moment where, knowing that the female whale was so hurt, she tries to kill herself against the boat's motor. And I was like, oh, I can't.
If a movie can make you wince, and it means to, it's done something effectively. And how many horror movies have you seen where you can watch people getting stabbed and shot and run over, and you don't even have a reaction?
And that's a great point. This film came out in 1977, and the effects hold up. Sure, there's a lot of editing trickery happening. But to great effect. I mean, honestly, there was never a moment where I was just like, oh, that's super fake. It holds up. It definitely holds up.
That's a showstopper. A few smaller moments that I like, just after one of his crew members is killed early on, the captain is at the funeral where there's really nobody there. It's just him, one of the other crew hands. And he sends his crew hand away so he could talk to the priest. And I thought they have a lovely little conversation, because he wants to ask the priest he wants to get into this whale situation, but he avoids it for a second. Then he almost lets it go. And he's like, actually, I had that question. Because he was teasing to ask a question. He sends the crew hand away. He goes in another direction. And then there's a beat. And he's like, okay, I'm going to ask. And he goes, can you sin against an animal? And the priest is like, you can sin against anything, because it's reflect back. And like, I thought that they're having a lovely philosophical discussion in the middle of my killer whale movie. And then he walks out of that to see the crew hand, and he gives the crew hand, he goes, thanks for loaning me your tie. And the crew hand's like, well, I hope those pants fit as well. So you're getting all this exposition about this character and how he lives and what he has done, and like in the middle of a killer whale movie. And I just love that. And the other one I want to shout out is the whale ends up like Rube Goldberg being like an explosion on the land with kind of what it's hitting. And then when explosions are going off, it does the flip that you had seen it previously do in the beautiful opening with its mate, but now it's like a revenge flip. Like, fuck you. And I thought that if I was in a theater, I probably would have applauded at that moment. I thought that was great.
It's so good. I loved it. I mean, the whale basically becomes the Punisher. And it's incredible. All those scenes are great. I mean, there are so many scenes in this film that you could talk about. The opening shark hunting scene stood out to me. For those who haven't seen it, they're actually hunting sharks first. One of the scientists, Ken, falls overboard from his dinghy and is about to be attacked by a shark. But before the shark can get him, the orca runs up and attacks the shark. And I love that moment, because it's honestly the filmmaker saying, hey, you know what can kill a shark? A killer whale.
Yep.
And that was it. They basically were killing Jaws. It's not a subtle statement right there, right? And then it ends with that great line, Charlotte Rampling saying, there's only one creature in the world who could do that. A killer whale. And that's it. And that's it. Then you're like, oh shit. All right, forget sharks. We got killer whales. They're stronger. And then you get into her lecture about what killer whales are. So that scene I really liked a lot. But the other scene that really stood out to me is the house attack.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a film that came out in 1977. It's edited so well. Basically, the captain and his two crew hands, Bo Derek and her boyfriend or significant other, are all staying in this house. And the whale decides to come and attack them. Part of the house is on stilts that are in the water.
Yes.
And the way that the orca decides to attack is to ram the stilts and basically start having the house collapse within itself. And Bo Derek is in the house. The practical effects in that scene, awesome. Even the miniatures of the house looks great. I just, again, was not expecting to have that much fun. And it ends with a brutal, brutal bite of her leg that is just,
I love business. I love when like they set something up. So she has a broken leg. So because she has a broken leg, she can't easily just rush out of the house once the house starts to go. So now you've got the other characters trying to save her, and as they're pulling her out, it's like, oh, not only do you have a broken leg, I'm going to bite your leg off.
Yeah, it's so good. Oh, it's so fun.
Also, I know you touched on the director earlier. Michael Anderson, is journeyman the right word? I don't mean that as an insult. Logan's Run, Around the World in 80 Days, an adaptation of 1984, Millennium, which is a sci-fi movie that for some reason I watched like a lot as a kid, touched a whole bunch of different like genres. One of those things where it's like you wouldn't necessarily think horror was their jam, but just like they seem like they just kind of touched everything. Very sure hand here.
Yeah, the performance he gets out of everyone, it's a tight movie. There's not a lot of fat on it. Like
I'm curious about the novel because like this is a good screenplay. And you just never know. I mean, was maybe the novel's great? Credit. This is very well put together.
I thought about checking out the novel as well, but I did see on IMDb that Robert Towne is uncredited as one of the screenwriters.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he did a massive pass on it.
I would like to know the backstory because again, it's punching way above its weight class in terms of what you would expect. I think this is like under a 3 on Letterboxd. I think that's a crime. It's way better. Again, I think it's
way better.
The idea of it and just the silliness factor, but it's a good film. Also, I have the name of the whales they used are Yaka and Nepo, and they were stars at Marineland and Marine World. So thank you. So as a shout out to 2 excellent.
Wait, those are the actual names, or those are the names in the film?
No, those are their actual names.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I was like, they don't mention those names once in the movie. So.
When you get to hell, tell them Nepo sent you. So.
Yeah, I would have remembered that.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad you looked that up. Now I know. So our next category is underrated element. What you got?
Okay. I like Scott Walker as Al Swain, the head of the union. This is a character actor. There's bigger actors and actresses like in the film, but he does a great job of like popping up, and he's helpful, but he's like menacingly helpful. He wants to get that boat up and running, ... So he'll go and fight that whale. So it's like, yeah, I'm helping you, ... Go get that whale. So he always shows up. He always kind of has a smile on his face, but you can tell he doesn't really want to help anybody. He just wants to get the town back up and running. He could get lost with everything else that's happening in the movie, but every time that guy popped up, I'm like, I see what you're doing, man. You're doing a good job with this kind of tiny role. Subtly menacing Al Swain from the Fishermen's Union.
It wasn't my main underrated element, but the Fishers Union threat, I guess, the underlying threat of them was an underrated element that I spoke to earlier, where it adds another layer. I think what immediately came to mind, and I don't know if it's really an underrated element, but we're going to spoil it here. The main protagonist doesn't survive.
Orca wins, baby.
Yeah,
Orca wins.
I kept waiting for there to be a moment where Nolan will get the upper hand and then defeat the whale. But no, the whale goes through with his plan and launches him with his tail into an iceberg, killing him.
One by one, knocks off the party that's hunting him.
Yeah.
And at one point is hiding behind an iceberg that it's pushing towards the boat to try and ram it, which I like that. But then Nolan knows that the whale's gonna have to come up for air. And I thought that's a good suspense set piece with a whale, which you wouldn't necessarily think. But no, one of them's got to go, and maybe not the person you would be expecting in that situation.
But there's also that great moment where Nolan is holding the rifle, right? He grabs the rifle, and then he decides, well, no, I'm going to do the harpoon. I'm going to make it a fair fight. Because he knows with his grief and guilt and that thirst for revenge, it's got to be man versus monster without that much of an advantage.
Yep. Well, it's funny. I think I had seen when I was a kid the brutal death of the whale.
Oh my gosh.
We were watching something else, and then we came back and caught the end of the movie. So I saw him die. So I saw these two, and my whole life I'm like, what was that weird orca movie? And I'm in a film group with some other friends on Facebook, and I mentioned, I caught Orca, and 4 people wrote underneath it, yeah, that really messed me up when I was a kid. And I'm like, why are we all watching this as children? I don't understand why this was just a shocking, and also just like, so I vividly remember those 2 scenes from many, many years ago.
Let's just mention the scene, right? There's a moment in the death scene of the female whale where the fetus basically drops out onto the deck of the boat. And I'm still shocked when I think about it. Even just talking, like mentioning it, I'm still blown away that they showed that in the film. It's set up for you to be horrified by Dr. Bedford's lecture, where she talks about the similarities between the human and the whale fetuses.
No, it's a sickening moment. And like, good. I mean, not to be a total sicko myself, but I mean, if a movie could pull that off successfully, you've done good. You've done something right. And again, if you're a horror movie's meant to horrify you. So I walk out of that wanting to be nicer to animals. And I know that's sappy, but I mean, that's how I feel. I walk out of Jaws feeling different than I walk out of this.
Of course. Yeah.
I think both of them have achieved what you're meant to achieve. I just high watermarks. And again, in I hate to keep coming back to it, whale revenge movie, which is not something you would expect. And like, look, Devilfish would play on MST3K like back in the day. Like I've seen Cruel Jaws, which was like a total cash in on Jaws. That's silly. And it's tough to grab a couple beers, get some friends, grab a good time with it. But there's a certain level of look at the other movies coming. Not to say there's not even good ones, but how much of an emotional reaction you're going to have. And also, like, I know the Jaws sequels don't have a ton of love. I think Jaws 2 is pretty good. I think maybe a little unheralded. This is miles above those. Yeah. And I mean, like, those have way more recognition than this does.
Yeah. I was surprised by how invested I was in this. You know, at first when we were going to watch it, I was like, okay, it's 90 minutes. That's a quick time. But I was all in on it. From that opening scene, I was just like, okay, let's do this.
It's the effective, but a lot of that's Harris. I think Harris is so in it that you are in it with him. And look, we can go through Richard Harris's entire filmography. I think there's something where you can pull a performance like this off in a film like this that really, to me, is just a film fan that's very endearing. So,
and to the film's credit, you also get amazing actors in films where they are giving it their all. And I don't mean going over the top. I mean giving it their all as in you recognize the talent that you're seeing on screen, and the film does not support that. But this film, it works. What he's doing, I would not say he's carrying the film. He's only adding to the film.
No, I agree. It would work without him. I don't think it would hit this high. And exactly. It's also the writing. I think it's a very well written role. Yeah. But the fact we're going to spend so much time of our episode talking about the acting and the screenwriting of Orca, the killer whale movie that's cool. And I guess the whole point of this, why we even sit down to do this, is we want fun stuff for us. We want fun stuff for the listeners. And this is gold. I think you need to meet a movie halfway. If you're willing to accept a concept of, okay, this orca is very smart, either by nature or, mystical circumstances, this movie will reward you in spades with what it gives back.
Absolutely. It's so good. All right. Besides us, who's having the most fun? This was tough for me, honestly. I don't think Richard Harris is having fun.
I don't think he's having fun.
I honestly went with Umalak.
I was going to say, I always like the Van Helsing character in the movie, or Quint in Jaws. So I like that because he volunteers for the trip. Oh, you're hunting a mystical, horrible whale? I'm in. I love this. I would highly recommend it. Not necessarily the most fun watch in the world. So I think Will Sampson maybe by default.
No, I think it's a default. Like I said, this was a tough one because for most of the films, I feel like, there's definitely either an actor or an element, or even looking at the crew behind the camera, who's having the most fun. I know that the director is probably not having a lot of fun because working with animals is not easy. So that's going to be very tough and stressful. I'm sure that also is tough and stressful for the producers or any crew that's out there, right? So I think for this one, we have to go with one of the characters. And I just picked Umalak because he volunteered to go, but his character was never presented in an over-the-top way.
Nope.
He was sort of very chill and just like, look, man, you got to go hunt. Look, man, you got to go out there on the water. Look, man, there's some superstitions.
Yeah.
I'm chilling, but I also know what needs to be done. Those aren't quotes from the film. That's just sort of how he played the character.
I like your script revisions.
But that's why I liked it. He definitely seems to be having fun on the film.
Also, like, he's crushed to death by falling. It's just like the whale's not like, all right, I'll just go after the captain, but everybody else is okay. The whale's like, if you get on that boat, I'm gonna kill you. Like, I don't care who's on that boat.
Yeah, so. we haven't really spoken about that. All the crew members are killed. Every single one. Except
Rampling survives, but also Rampling survives after the captain. It's not necessarily that the orca's like, oh, she's cool. It's more of like mission accomplished. I've worked my way up to like the big boss.
Yeah, he's done with his revenge. And there is another moment that if we're going to critique, I'll just get into it.
Yeah.
So Ken's is, I believe, her research assistant.
Mhm.
And he was the one who fell in the water in the beginning that the shark was going to attack. Orca saves him. He gets killed by the orca. And there's like no moment where Dr. Bedford is feeling any grief or sad about it. When is it Paul? Is that the other
think,
crew?
yeah.
When he dies, she's at the window screaming, "Oh no, oh no, oh God." That's more of a reaction that she gives to her own
I
research
didn't think
assistant.
about that. That's true. And it's like, it's her fault he's there. He wouldn't have been on that boat if it wasn't for her.
Right? And the reason I'm bringing it up is because the second bit of VO, do you know what they say? She literally says, and I wrote it down, "We didn't speak about Ken's death."
Well, she's probably going to get like kicked off the boat. You did what? You told Ken to get onto that boat where they were going to fight a whale? What are you, crazy? So like his family's going to file like a wrongful death thing.
No, I
So,
think
okay.
it's when they're on the boat. They're like, we didn't collectively on the boat.
Yeah.
We didn't speak about Ken's death. I think it was honestly the writers or someone watching it and be like, there's no reaction from her about his death. We should probably put that in the VO.
Normally not a fan, but it fixed two plot holes we had.
Right.
Why she's hanging out with this captain and what happened, a reaction to Ken's death.
And again, you've made films, I've made films. We know sometimes you got to cut things out and things
sure.
don't always mesh together. So I'm sure it's just a version of that. And they're like, you know what? Let's ADR it. We'll save it. So that's probably what they did.
Going back, I hope Yaka and Nepo had fun. I hope they were fed in fish. I hope it was, just, oh, this is cool. You never know with how animals are treated, especially.
I mean, that's the thing. I'm sure, like you said, that how real everything looks got animal rights activists involved, and they said none were hurt during this. But it was the late 70s, and there aren't as many. I'm sure there weren't as many rules in place as there are now. So
you gotta love that 70s PG. That 70s PG. This is PG. Are you insane?
Wait.
If I showed this to my kids, they wouldn't.
Is this PG?
It's PG.
No. I legit did not know that. How is this PG? I'm so blown away right now. I honestly didn't even look up the rating. I just figured this has to be R.
Of course.
The amount of blood.
Course it'd be R.
Oh, so is that what's our next category is ahead of its time? Maybe the PG rating, the R rating, PG-13 rating should have been ahead of its time. All right, what do you got for ahead of its time?
I mean, I think this is a smarter screenplay than I would have expected for this period of time, and I'd almost see like it's a different flavor 100%. The Fly remake in the 80s, that brought way more nuance to the old Fly story. It's like an updated version. So if anything, I could see a creature feature happening like 10, 15 years later, having a screenplay this nuanced. So I just think I'm going to put money down. I'm going to bet you $10. I bet $10 Grizzly's screenplay isn't as deep as this one. So I think just the nuance of this, I feel like, is also there was a lot of great movies in the 70s. So that's why I was holding back a little bit. It's not like there weren't plenty of quality films. I just think that was such a surprise to find it here of all places.
Again, I think it goes back to how curious we are about the book and seeing what elements were really a part of that made it into the film. For me, what I took ahead of its time, and I don't know how exact this is, but making us sympathize with the creature as opposed to the humans.
Yep.
As much as it does.
Yeah.
Again, Jaws made the shark the villain and did so brilliantly.
And no question.
Exactly.
They are the villain. Yeah.
Yeah. And this film is not doing that. The whale is not a straight up villain. It's not just attacking because it's hungry. It's not attacking because humans are in its territory. And what's crazy to me is just how cunning and calculating they make the whale.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's ahead of its time too, that this isn't just monsters going around attacking, humans. Like the fact that it destroys all the boats in the harbor except for the captain's to try to lure him out. I feel like most films that have a creature or monster it's not that level of intelligence.
Yeah.
Where it's able to calculate and then knowing, again, with the house attack scene, if I ram these pillars, the house is going to collapse. The calculating creature is something that I felt like hadn't really been shown before. But you proved me wrong. I don't know. Maybe it has. That's just this is one of the earliest films I can think of that's done that.
So I have it here. So the New York Times, it says, Orca's PG rating, parental guidance suggested, is probably attributed to a goriness that revolts even its characters. Oh, you think that's what it is, New York Times? I guarantee you that's what it is. So.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I still can't believe it's PG. That's crazy.
This is why we turned out the way we did.
I still can't believe you saw it as a kid, and it was on TV.
A lot, that's a podcast for another day. The stuff that we stumbled across at my grandparents' house, random scenes, and that was but honestly one of the more indelible. Like I didn't remember a lot of the whale, the fetus, ice crushing that guy, the captain getting flung up in the air, like all like.
Did you know, like going into watching it this time, did you know that those scenes were from this film?
Oh yeah,
Orca?
but no nuance. Honestly, I didn't know you were supposed to sympathize with the captain. I assumed we were going to hate him the whole time. I remembered the scene with the death, and I'm like, okay, well, he's going to be set up as a villain, blah, blah, blah. So the fact I had so much sympathy for him, in real time, the movie was like totally winning me over. And it was neat I've envisioned a certain movie in my head for years, and it's very different than what that was.
I honestly was just basically envisioning scientists, fishermen, and maybe a third character, just like Jaws, go on a boat and they have to hunt a killer whale who's maybe attacking things.
Yep.
And it's completely different from that, and I love it for it.
Yep.
Okay, this might be a long discussion, but what scene would you show someone to convince them to watch it?
Okay, I feel like oftentimes in this category, the showstopper is the scene that would also do it. Not the case here, because I think that scene would scare people off from not wanting to watch.
You can't do that.
The rest of the movie. So I'm going to go with where the orca knocks the house into the water.
Nice. I thought about doing that one, but I honestly think the shark hunting scene in the beginning, when it ends with the orca killing Jaws, and then Rampling's great line, I feel like that sets it up. That to me, that also sets up the tone of the film. If you're in with this, you're going to have a great time with this movie.
What if you just show somebody the opening where the whales are in love? You know, this is a sweet whale love story.
I feel like they are going to think it's a different movie than what it is. All right, t-shirt quote.
Okay, so this is the runner-up, then I'm going to give you the main one. The world has changed, even our gods dance to a new song. So that was a beautiful from the Will Sampson character.
Jacob Umalak, yeah.
Yep. But I got to go with the captain's, you revengeful son of a bitch. You win. You want revenge? Well, you'll have it. Picture that the orc underneath it, or maybe both of them, like a verses,
yeah, that's a great line. I had your first one. I had the world,
really?
Yeah, the world has changed, even our gods dance to a new song. I mean, that's an incredible line.
It's a beautiful line.
Incredible line. Yeah.
In a killer whale movie.
In a killer whale movie. It's awesome. I mean, it's a great movie. I think if anyone who ever thought about potentially checking it out, I think it's well worth your time. And if we haven't convinced you by now, then I don't think you're going to enjoy it. But we always like to end by giving one of the crew members a shout out. I wanted to shout out the underwater stunts done by Emilio Messina. And he also did stunt work on Django the Bastard from 1969. And They Call Me Trinity from 1970.
I like this. We're on a similar wavelength now. Look, I'd love to call out Ennio soundtrack, but like that's shooting fish in a barrel. You know, it's like, look, it's great. It is great.
Ennio Morricone, of course, it's great.
not that you're expecting anything less, but that's cheap. So I'm going to go with Vittorio Dranonete, who was the underwater camera operator. And they did, I just love these Italian movies that they're working on. So they did 1,000 on the Black and Killer Without a Face, which that sounds amazing. I don't know. I may have to look that one up.
So typically when we do the crew shout outs, I write one or two down in case we end up with the same we end up giving the same person. And my second one was Vittorio Dragonetti, the underwater camera op. Because again, the underwater stuff is amazing. And we know how difficult it is to try to shoot footage that works to convince us that a killer whale is doing all this stuff.
Like I knew by the pre-scene, I'm like, this is good. This is a good movie. And I'm like, I just hope it can hold this. And then when it got to the end, I'm like, and that was my dude. Like we got a winner on our hand.
When I texted you last night, I wasn't even done with the movie yet. I think it was after the house scene. I just wrote I found that great gif of the fuck around and find out. And Orca, I was like, wherever the film goes now, it doesn't matter. I'm loving every part of this. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to this episode of The Real Demers. If you enjoyed what you heard, please support by leaving a like or review on whatever platform you listen to podcasts. You can find us on Bluesky and Instagram. If you want to reach out and send a comment, you can email us at reeldeemers@gmail.com. Our music is by Adolfo Delanoy. You can check him out on Instagram at Adolfo Delanoy. That's DELANNOY. Thanks again, and be safe.